so let's try this one. I remember this one's been a big hit everywhere I went. Simply, this is cheating at games with Ollie Debug. So you download Ollie Debug and install it, and then we're going to start with PuTTY. We're going to hack this particular version of PuTTY, and I'm just going to download it directly. Now, to confirm the hash, I'm not going to use hashcalc anymore, although it is in these old machines. I'm going to use PowerShell, the more modern solution. Okay, PowerShell. All right. And if I go to downloads and then do a directory, I should have PuTTY. And I do have PuTTY.exe. And I want to get a hash, and let's see which hash. Oh, I think I don't have the MD5, I have the SHA-256. Okay, let's get the SHA-256. So it's get file hash algorithm SHA-256. Whoa. And path, yes, I must have hit a button. And then path. PuTTY. There. Okay, and it starts with 9F9, and here the right answer is 9F9, so I have the right version of PuTTY. This is a particular old version. I wrote the project using this version, and you want to make sure you're using the same version or things won't work. So if you don't know what PuTTY is, PuTTY is a really old standard tool to communicate with SSH servers on Windows, which, by the way, you don't need anymore because PowerShell now has command line SSH, which is fantastic. But for all the decades before they did that, you used PuTTY. And PuTTY just opens here. I can do more info and run anyway. And there it is. You can connect to a server. And if you put in the name of a server like AD, one of my servers, samsclass.info, just anything that's listening with SSH on the internet and open, it will connect, and then you have to say yes to agree to connect, and now it says login as. You can now put in a name and a password and get in, but I don't care about that. I just want to hijack this functionality that prints the word login as. So we're going to modify this PuTTY and using Ollie. So we're going to use Ollie and open PuTTY, and we're going to run it starting in Ollie. So let me start Ollie. There's Ollie. All right, and now I'm going to open PuTTY. It's going to complain I don't have administrator rights. I don't need them. I'm just modifying a file in my downloads folder. And there it is, PuTTY. And should be loading. What's going on here? All right, maybe I fouled it up somehow. Oh, there it is. There. This is PuTTY. So here's the assembly code that runs PuTTY. Here's the registers, and so on. So now I can run it here with the run button, and that will launch it over here. And you can run it in this form. So now let me go back to my instructions, which are here. Okay. All right. Now I want to find the login as code. So what you do is you right-click here, and this is a fantastic feature which unfortunately is not in WinDebug. It's really useful. Search for all referenced text strings. This finds strings that are used in commands, which is very handy. So I'm going to make this bigger, and I'm going to get back to that window. Text strings referenced. Okay, now I'm going to fix the font. Appearance, font, OEM. There we go. Now I can see what I'm doing. Now I can do Control F. I guess it's not Control F. All right, it's Edit, Find, or something. Let me check my instructions. Search for, right-click. No, okay. Then fix the font. Then right-click, search for test. Okay, there might be it starts from here. By the way, make sure that you are looking in PuTTY. I am. So I right-click, search for text, and I search for login as. And I think it told me it didn't find it. Search for text, log in as, I think, all right, what have I done wrong? Let me check my instructions. I should be text strings referenced in PuTTY text. So make sure that's what I have. Text strings referenced in PuTTY text, okay. Right click, search for text. Let's try log in. I don't know what's going on here. It's in there. I'm getting ripped off somehow. Well.
Is it supposed to take you to where it's found?
It's supposed to take me where it's found, and it's supposed to find it, so I wonder, well, now I didn't run to that point, but I shouldn't have to. However, let me just try that. When bad things happen in Ollie, which is very common, you do debug restart, debug restart, yes, then you run it, and now, one thing, by the way, which I'm doing this on my ARM machine, so it is probably why it's so slow. It is running through Rosetta. Microsoft has some version of Rosetta. It is running an x86 emulator on ARM 64. So I can debug x86 code on the ARM. I was very pleased to see this, but I'm not surprised there are some problems. Now I'm going to run it, debug, run. And now it should launch here. Running, it says running. It should be opening another window. It seems to be running really slowly. This may be a combination of going through a ARM to x86 translation and also doing streaming with OBS. But anyway, it's working so far. idsamsclass.info, open. Now it should pop up that box and say login as. And it does. So it's using that string login as. All right. Now I'm going to go back to here, right click, search for all reference text strings. Okay, and there it is. And now right-click, search for text, log in. Not found. Well, I may have to, but you see, unless somebody sees what I'm doing wrong, I'm going to have to move to the x86 machine again, because I guess my ARM emulation is failing.
Does it matter which column you're in when you right-click?
No, I don't think it does, but that's possible. Let's try that. Right-click, search for text, log in. Now it's saying it can't.
Clicking under like a text string column. So what if
That's where I was, yeah.
So what if you clicked in the disassembly?
Oh, wait, I see the problem. I'm at the end. I wanted to be at the, you have to be at the beginning. It only searches down. Somehow I wasn't at the beginning. There we are. Now I'm at the beginning. Good. That's the thing to know. It only searches down. And I thought I was at the top. I didn't notice the scroll bar. This should work now. Search for text, log in. I should be able to put in the as. And there we go. Good. So now it finds ASCII login as. And now I press F2, function F2 on the Mac, to put a breakpoint there. It turns red. Because there's another one. If I right-click, search next, it'll find another place where the string login as is, and I don't know which one of these is used to print that message. So I put breakpoints at both of them. Now, I go back to the main window, which is CPU, and I do debug restart, and I just run the program until it prints it's about ready to print that message, and it'll hit the breakpoint, and I'll know which one is used. So, wait for it to load. I was really pleased to see I can do this on the ARM machine. It's a little slow, but you can do it. And see, it's still moving. Okay, so now I do run. And it's running. It tells me in the bottom right it's running. It's just super slow, so it'll take a few seconds to launch the window. Which makes sense because it's emulating an x86 processor on a 64-bit ARM, which has got to be slowing it down. Okay. Now I put in the name of a server, ad.samsclass.info, and click open. And now it's going to try to pop up a box and print login as, and it's going to hit the breakpoint as soon as it tries to reference that string. There we are, breakpoint has been hit, and you see which one it hit, 41CB6E. So now I know that's where it's using this string. Now let me go check for comments here. Good, some people are there, but no comments. Okay, good. All right, now let me check my instructions. I think I remember what I'm doing, but let me just, all right, so you do all this. Yeah, toggle breakpoint, debug run, you hit the breakpoint. Okay, now we're going to alter the login message. We're going to remove the breakpoints and remove one letter from the message. Okay, so to remove the breakpoints, we can just, I think window breakpoints, let's see. I could do them one by one. There's some way to view them all. View breakpoints. All right, good. View breakpoints. There we are. And I can right-click disable all. Disable, that's not really one. How about remove all? I'm going to remove them one by one. Delete. Nope. Right-click, remove. There we are. Right-click, remove. Okay, good. All right. So the breakpoints are gone. Now, here's the push, and you can see, this is why Ollie is so friendly. It's pushing this pointer, and that's pointing to the string login as. And you can right-click, follow in dump, immediate constant, and it will show you in the dump area the login as and other strings that are stored here. So that's why this is really nice. It understands this is the constants that's referenced, here's that data. So I want to skip the first letter, so I'm going to right-click here and assemble. I'm going to change this code. Okay, and instead of pushing 467C, 7C, I'm going to push 7D, just 1 byte bigger. And now it's login as. It starts at the second letter. Now, what I like to do is, whenever I'm doing this kind of work, is save it every time I change anything so I don't go mad. And so, but here I ran it right in the program, then before I save it. All right, I can do that. I should be able to run the modified program here. If I run, all threads are suspended, please resume some. Maybe I have to do debug restart. Server, now it worked. It printed login as. Had a couple error messages, but anyway, I don't care about that. All right, so, all right. Now I want to save the program, and that is in the CPU window, copied executable. So let me get back to Ollie and get the CPU window maximized. This is the normal view. All right, this is where I changed something. So I right-click, copy to executable, all modifications. Copy all. And now I get this. Let me fix the font so you can see it. Font OEM. All right. So this is the modified putty, and I can just right-click and save file. There. In downloads, I'll call it putty 2. All right. So there's a putty that will have a different prompt. Now, we go back to here. I've saved it. All right, and now I can close Ollie and run the modified one and make sure it works. Might as well do that. Close Ollie. Go to my downloads folder. And there's putty 2. And when you run putty 2, it works. ad.samsclass.info and open. And it runs, but it prints the wrong message. Now I should point out, this is completely insane, by the way. You shouldn't be allowed to modify code. There's a whole process called code signing to prevent this, and it's included here. This is where I may have offended the Microsoft engineers when I taught this at Black Hat. If you go to look at the properties of this, show more options, properties, it's signed code. There's a digital signature on this code. It's written by some guy named Simon Tatum, and if you look at the details, the digital signature is okay. But if you look at the one I've modified, putty 2, what's that?
It keeps that signature?
Yeah, well, I didn't re-sign it. Show more options, properties. It's still got a digital signature tab.
Oh my God.
It's still showed signed by Simon Tatum. When you go to details of the signature, it tells you the signature is not valid. I say, well, why did it run when the signature is not valid? Why do you even bother to have a signature when you don't enforce it? Some guy who was a Microsoft developer at my Black Hat workshop or DEF CON workshop tried to explain to me why this makes sense, and I don't remember what he said. It didn't convince me. I said, why do you even have signatures if you just ignore them? And I can just break them, and it runs anyway. This is, for what? Yeah. Anyway, the same thing, as you mentioned, we're doing the same thing in the hacking mobile apps class. We're modifying like the Progressive Insurance app, and it still works. And I have the same bad attitude about that dude. This is not hard to enforce integrity, and they just don't do it. Yeah.
It's a promotional feature.
Yeah, well, anyway, that's a fun fact to notice here. We're getting away with something we should not be able to get away with. Anyway, so now, all right. Run putty mod, it shows organize. Okay, now we're going to modify putty mod, and we're going to go to 41CB6E and change the message another way. All right, let me do that. So I called it putty 2 instead of putty mod. It doesn't matter. I'm going to open it in Ollie. There's another way to modify things, which is fun to know. Ollie debug. All right. And I don't need administrator rights. And I need putty mod, or putty 2 I called it, all right? All right, and I think I know what I'm doing, but let me check my instructions. What I'm going to do, in the fullness of time, can't do anything, it's freezing up my machine while it loads this thing. New thread created, running. Okay, it's going, just kind of slow. Okay, now we go back to my instructions. There we go. Okay, so I want to go to 41CB6E and go to the login as and edit it. Okay, so I want to go directly to that place, so I right-click and go to expression. And the expression is 41CB6E. That's the location I found before. And there it is, ASCII login as. So now I want to modify this the other way. Instead of modifying it by changing the value of the address passed into the print instruction, I'm going to follow in dump, immediate constant. I'm going to change the text data, which is probably the more reasonable way to do it. And so the way to do it is highlight all the data you want to change, which is login as : and change it to badness. So it's login as : okay, it a little bit slow and disoriented me. There we are, login as : okay, right click. Not sure I got the colon. I think I didn't, somehow lost the colon. Login as : right click. Binary edit, I think. All right, and now I can type in all right, badness, and say OK. And now you see I've changed it down here, so now you save it by clicking in this area to save it, to save the modified file. Copy to executable file, and save that, and that'll be putty 3. All right, and let's see if that works. Go to my downloads folder and run putty 3. And do ad.samsclass.info and connect. And now it's badness. Okay, so that's good. So those are the two ways to modify this file. Now, that's simple stuff, simple games you can play with putty. Now, What's a lot more fun is this one, 000.exe. So let me get this one. I might already have it, but I'm just going to download it there. Now it's in my downloads folder. All right, so we're going to run this one in a command prompt to see what it does. Here's PowerShell, that'll probably work. Okay, if I do a directory of 0 star, there it is. All right, so if I run it, it says launch codes. It asks me for a number. If I put in 12, it then insults me. I think my dog figured this out before you. That's all it is. It's a guessing game. You have to guess the right number, and you won't get in unless you do it. All right, so there is some correct launch code, but you don't know it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cheat. So we run Ollie, debug here, and we load that file. Yeah, I don't have administrator rights, and I don't need them. So I open 000. All right. There it loads. And if I go back to Ollie, you'll see it here, and let me make my window a little wider here. There we go. All right. And now you can see pretty much the entire game right here. If you just look at the right, you can see it. This whole game fits on the screen. So it's going to do a put S to print launch codes. It's going to do a scan F to read a number from the user in decimal. Then it's going to print either wow, you got it, or if you go down some, you'll see the other message. I think my dog figured it out before you, and that's it. The whole game is just like 20 or 30 assembly language instructions. So it's easy to cheat. You can see down here, here's a compare instruction. So clearly, that's where it compares the number you put in to whatever the right answer is. And then it does a jump. And the jump not 0 will go to 205A, and 205A is here. 205A is where it insults you. So it does a compare. If you get it wrong and the result is not 0, then it insults you. Otherwise, it's going to print the right answer. So all I have to do is remove some of these instructions. And there's a lot of ways to do it. Let me see which way I put in the instructions here. There. So remove those instructions, remove the compare and the JNG. That's what I thought. We'll remove both of those instructions. So the compare, I don't want to do this compare, so I'll assemble and I'll just fill with NOPs. I put NOP here. There. Okay, now it's not going to do the compare, and then I don't want to do the jump. So I can just keep hitting assemble. It'll go down line by line. And then one more. There. Now it's not going to do the compare, not do the jump, and always tell me I won. There. Now I've made a game I can win. So now I just save it, right-click, copy to executable, all modifications, copy all, right-click, save file, and it's going to be 0000 mod.exe. All right, now I can play this game. This game is now fun and easy to play. I go here. Okay, I do the same directory of 000. Okay, 00 mod. So if I run that one, and I give it 12, now I win. And I get a reward as one letter. And the original one, this one's from EasyCTF, the original one had 65,000 of these. You had to patch them all. You get one letter for each one. That then gave you 65,000 characters of JS fuck. And you then had to fix the broken JS fuck, and then you would get the flag. This one here, you only do the first few steps of it because it got kind of complicated and tedious. But that's what I'm going to show you. So you run the patched file, and you'll get a hash of it to get the value. And then there's one where you have to patch 3 of them. So you can do those one by one and get the 3 letters. And then there's one where you patch 19. And at this point, you ought to start automating it. And I have some example scripts. You can write a Python script that will automatically patch them. And that was my solution. And then there's 256, so I did 65,000. I did it in a really stupid way, by the way. I actually patched every executable and then ran it and harvested the results. Now, a smarter way would be to read the code and find out where the result is. It's encrypted in there somehow, and just read it out of the file. The way I did it, it took like an hour or 2 to run, but I didn't care. Anyway, so there's various levels of difficulty here to play with it. But I think you'll learn a lot about assembly code and Ollie debug doing it, so that's why I wanted to show you that one. I'm going to stop the recording.